Hello everyone, I'm Lincoln and this is Talking Japanese Plastic. Today we're taking a look at LBX, or Little Battler's Experience, Sigma Orbis from the Danball Senki anime. I have not seen any of the show at all, but from what I can tell it seems to be the shonen thing, you know, young boys get a thing, whether it's tiny robots or Beyblades or Bakugan or stuff. Oh, something. Yep, I lost track. But it's like Bakugan and all of those, where all those types of shows, even I guess like Yu-Gi-Oh! And that kind of thing, where it's like, alright, this is what boys do in their free time. They fight little robots. Neat thing to note about these is the Danball Senki stuff is all 1:1 scale. So in the show, or if they were a real thing, this is exactly how tall they'd be. They're not giant or anything. I'm guessing the kids actually just battle it out probably on a table about this big. Just to show it off, I do have two of the model kits. And they're all same in scale, size, and everything. He's not really in frame at all. The heck are these guys? I'm not going to go over these guys right now. Completely am not remembering their silly names now. And that really bothers me. Oh well. But yeah, they are the same size. These are just model kits though, so they're kind of light. Maybe don't do as much. Pretty nice. One thing I want to point out, this is the only model I've ever owned in my life that just cannot at all stand on its own. This guy actually has a stand that comes with him specifically because these wings will not allow him to stand. Anyway, back to the task at hand, back to these guys. They are made up of, I'm going over Sigma Orbis. Sigma Orbis is made up of 3 individual little battlers. We've got Minerva here in the center. Let's see if I'm getting these right. I believe that one's Perseus, and this is Elysion, with an O-N, not an A-N. And they're pretty nice little figures in and of themselves. I mean, Perseus and Elysion here, the bottoms of their feet are all, not all die cast, but these like bottom plates here are die cast, and much of the leg is. I mean, this inner part isn't, but no. His little cape falls off all the time. I haven't thickened anything up on him yet. But you can see that shininess. The waist piece is die cast, and the upper thigh has some metal in there. So it's got a good weight on the lower half, so they stand very well. Got his little cape back on. Elysion here comes with a shield and a glaive of some sort. And of course this little cape that comes off. Perseus comes with his big honkin' curved swords. I love that. With these little orange guys and this thing in the back, it just reminds me of... oh, what are those things called? Oh, I completely have lost it. Amazing twin stick arcade game. Virtual On. That's it. Thank you for sticking with me on that one. He kind of reminds me of that from the rear. He's got his own little cape, which is actually the rear straight armor for him. That stays on nice and secure. Never had any problems with it. Again, he's got the metal in the feet and in the upper thigh area. The actual outside is plastic, I think. But the inner core seems to have some die cast in there because the weight still sticks around. Let's get him sort of posed up. They've all got very nice posability. She's a little bit different than the other guys, but that's also due to transformation. They get a little bit of, these two guys get a little bit of extra jointage from that. I'm going to pull this forward a bit, pop her off. So you can just have a look at Minerva. Minerva cannot stand. She's got those, they look really cool. And I'm guessing in the show, she can stand just fine. But she's got little pointy feet. She comes with these big old claws, which normally stay where you want them. I don't know why that one got loose. You know, her little ears, bow area is all posable. She doesn't really seem to have any die cast in her, but that makes sense when you see how all of her bits are used in the end of the thing. She's got this bow in the back. It's nice and cute. I like these guys individually very much. They're all very nice little toys. They're very nice. Just the design really drew me in. As you can see, I have this. I got 2 model kits. I'm probably gonna be getting more of those model kits. Let's see, will she lean against that? Oh, there's no point in having her leaning against that because I need to show off the stand a little bit. Nothing special underneath, no storage or holding anything there. We've got an arm for posing, which actually has this up pose, and then there are 2 levels of down. The only real downside about that is you seem, I don't know if I can get this. The little notch is up here. There's a notch up here for this configuration, but for the 2 lower configurations, there's another set of 2 notches that you can click between, but you can't click yourself there. You have to kind of pop this out, rejigger it, and then reattach it in the lower section, or tilt it far enough back that it fits into that slot. I don't really use those modes when they're lower. I think they're more to make Minerva maybe look like she's standing on the ground or something like that. I don't really bother with it. Flying is a fine pose for me. These little bits in the back will hold the weapons in combined mode. And then in here, we have a treasure trove of fists. And other little bits, some of which I'm going to get out now because I'll need them. Actually, I'm going to get a couple of things out now. I think that's the one, and I should need one other hand. I think these are the 2 hands I'm going to use. There's also this little visor you'll see, and this little doodad you'll see later. Yeah, there's generally 2 hands for everyone. Ha! Picked a wrong hand. Yeah. You can tell what they are from the backs. Perseus has the blue and white. Minerva has the white and pink, and Elysion has the straight white. It's a nice little assortment of hands. They don't all match up. It's not like it's the exact same set for all of them, but it's not bad. Now's the tricky part. How do I show you guys what it's like to transform this dude? I'm going to do this up a little bit. Then I'm going to go down a little bit, so you guys can kind of see me laying out bits and pieces as we go. Oh, and before I start, I want to give a big thanks to Pio, because he's the one who reviewed this, and as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to get into this series in some way. And these guys are fantastic. Well, first, easiest thing is not just removing the hands, not just removing these, but pop the hands off. And I will put them back in their thing. And here we have Minerva. Pop off her little bow. They're just pegged in there. And then disassemble each bow. There's a tab and a slot, no problem. I'll stick these off to one side. Then we rip her in half. Lower half is theory the simplest, so we'll start with that. Take these bits and push them back. See the white bits compared to the other side now? Take that, push the whole thing back. Then take this guy up front. You can see it's on a double hinge. Just move it forward, take the back, pull that up around, and you'll see there are little channels here, or notches, little posts or something there. And then there's a handle. You pull that out. And that is the Twin Sigma Blaster, I think. I've got a name for it. Sigma Twin Blaster. So that's what it technically looks like, but it's way more fun when you use the blade thing. Now this plugs in down there where you had the stand plugged in earlier. And then there are these pegs on either side which go into these bits down here by her feet. Oh, missed one. A little weird doing it on camera and everything. Put this down, flip everything there. And there you go. That is one of the weapons. And this is a reason why I think that there's little to no die-cast in Minerva. Because if there were die-cast in the weapons, then you would have the ball joints that keep the wrists on wouldn't hold them up, and you'd have sagging poses. You might have sagging joints as a whole. I mean, it'll just make things trickier. So I will put that off to the side, and we will take, oh my god, I hit the edge of the table. Alright, so we take her, and we're actually going to pop her arms off. For the arms, take the shoulder bits, they come off, just attaching a little hinge there. Apparently there's a hair there. And then this little hole here goes into this down here, and just kind of sockets on perfectly. And again, we'll set these aside. And off to the side we go. Now we take Minerva's head. All we really do is you slide her faceplate down as far as it'll go. Unfortunately, it doesn't click into place, which is annoying because it kind of just gets pushed up sometimes. And then you lift her stomach bit, comes up. Yeah, when you want to lift that up a tiny bit, it pops that up a little, and just slightly annoying. So that's all you really do. And then you take this little bit, pop it on the bottom, and there are little slight ridges on the upper part of this and a slight groove on the underside of her so that it actually won't rotate or anything. It slots into place in a specific way. And then we take this thing. She's got little holes there for these little tabs. I wish that these bits were tighter because this is kind of floppy and that's a little annoying just for posing and stuff. Oh, and I guess I should mention this bit, this little bit, and then all of the whole stand were just pieces on a sprue. No big deal. You pop them out, you put it together. So there we go. We've got this, which is the Sigma Garter. This is a nifty little shieldy weapony thing. Not too bad. And then next, I guess we'll move on to... I guess we'll do Elysion next. Take off his cape. Thankfully. The thing to note about Elysion on mine, this thing back here, this peg was really loose, and because of this bit down here, whenever you'd like just touch the back of it, this would press against and kind of leverage everything out. So I used some nail polish on the end of this, and that seems to have helped greatly. It doesn't come off at like a... You can still pop it out by accident, but it's not like just a feather touch. It actually requires some force. So let's get his weapon out. Weapon comes apart, of course. How else would you get it in there? His fist already popped off. You can see, because he fell backwards, it just popped right off. And that happens a lot. But with the nail polish, it's not annoying anymore. It's not a frustrating failing, it seems. Alright, I'm getting this out the wrong way. Shield. I like that that shield has back detail. It's always nice. And as you can see, that's how you get it in. Just slide it in from one side. Pop that off. I'm sorry, I'm getting over a cold, everyone. Got that. Oh, that's so annoying. Maybe I do have to add another layer of nail polish to that. Alright. So what do we do with Elysion here? More or less, we rip him apart. Head comes off. Arms come off. Feet stay on. Legs come off. Take his body. His body is going to be the core of the jetpack for the final form, I guess you can call it. Rotate this around. You flip these guys out. They don't clip in, but at a far enough point, they you can feel them get a little tighter, so they hold in nicely. We'll move these legs up a little bit, because what we're going to do is going to take these suckers from Minerva and install them at the rear like thrusters. You can see this here is where it'll plug into the back, and we're going to build a bit of a thing of... Actually, I can do that now. Take these Minerva arms, and those go into the sides here. Trying to make it look kind of cohesive and cool. Cohesive. Not too bad of a little jetpack so far. For the feet, this is kind of neat. There's a little tab underneath you can see. Open that up. You can see that there are holes inside. Extend this up a little bit, and then it plugs back into the upper hole, which is cool. I like that. Also, the bottoms of the feet, it's kind of hard to see, but they slide out a tad. Just a touch. It's easy to not notice, but it really does help the final figure. You can also usually, sometimes I press up here on the joint. Doesn't seem to hurt anything yet. Pop that up, close it back up. Bam, there we've got our feet for a super robot. Arms, you don't even pop anything, you just, bloop, they just pull out a little bit. And I'm going to put the fists in. You want the one with this slot, because that's the only way it's going to hold the Sigma guard. And the other hand here. Take this, pull it out, attach a hand. And that is that. For the head, you do one or two things, but I'm going to save that until we get to this guy. Perseus. Fists or swords removed. Let's see, where do we start with Perseus? Let's get his little cape off, since that doesn't get used for anything over here. Pop off his head. Take his head, take this crest, take that off. Take this little guy that I had stored in the fist bin. That slots in up to his face so that he's kind of a blank null face. And then we get the only real time on this whole toy that I feel like they just ran out of places to put stuff. That goes at the underside, so this is the completed jetpack. I mean, it gets the job done, but this just is... It looks kind of cool on its own, but it's still just a robot head sticking out from the bottom. It's kind of annoying. Alright. Home stretch. Let's do this now that I remember it. Sarah's got those little holes in his forehead. That's where you take Perseus's visor, plug that in, and then this will actually slide back, revealing a little green gem. It's not a huge change, but it really gets the job done. Put that head off to the side. Take this guy, pop his feet off. Then we're dealing with the body here. Let's get some stuff out of the way. First, let's just start at the bottom and work our way up. Feet. Pull them out a little bit. It gives you a double joint. You can tilt it backwards so you've got this little square joint, and then these guys tilt forward a bit. And then you can take one of these little bits from Minerva's bow. It's so much easier when it's not on camera. Plug that on the back. Do it back here too. Pull that out. Bam, bam. plug this guy in. And to make my life a lot easier, I'm going to plug the feet in now. There does not seem to be any specific left or right. And you can see it's just this little clippy bit fits into that rectangular hole. Alright, that just makes things a lot easier for me. And you might have to move these around a little bit, but they sit flush on the back there. They look pretty nice, actually. When I first saw that, I'm like, they just stick out the back, but in the final thing, it works. Oh, let's pop his hands off. That's all the hand popping. I'm going to close that up. Real quick, see these guys on the shoulders? You're also going to want to pop those off. And these two little guys, take Minerva's Sigma guard here, and those fill in the holes left by her empty arms, or by her missing arms. Which I thought was just a very nice little extra touch. Now to the arms. There is a tab in the back and a little slot. You can kind of push them into that. Lift these up. For the arms, you can actually take the upper part of the forearm and that'll slide forward, or to the bottom part. Now it's the upper part. There we go. And that gives you enough clearance to just double them up, while making sure nothing in the back part falls out. Again, comes forward, gonna fold them up, get them close up against the body. These guys around back, unfold, and you can get them, they don't click or snap in any way, you just kind of get them to a point that looks kind of good and accept that. Like, this is as good as it's going to get, and it still looks pretty good, that's fine. And that's the rest of the body. Before I do anything else, you take this little white guy off the back, and probably lose him. You take Elysion's body, look where his head is, you can see it's got a shape, and it's got little notches cut out of the sides that coincide with these guys. It just pops on top. It's a little loose, but it holds. I haven't seen it. It hasn't fallen off on its own yet. It takes like no force to pull it off, but it hasn't fallen off on its own, which is good. I'm going to put that aside. Take our main body here. Take the feet, and they just kind of get stuck on the back, which I feel is a bit of a cop-out. I don't know where else you would put them. And I understand the desire to want to keep everything in the finished figure, but this is just feet hanging off the back of a toy. It's normally not this fiddly. Don't get me wrong, it's an involved transformation, just basically due to the fact that it's three guys all kind of parts forming together. Now why is this? Never mind. This looks off to me. So, now let's get some arms on. Those caps you popped off reveal these ports. So we can get his arms plugged in. It's very nice and easy. The joints that pop on and off a lot, they all hold solidly. They all feel good. They come on and off not easily, but with ease. And let's take our fantastic head here. The final head does look pretty nice, with everything kind of combined up. Let's do weapons before I do the backpack to help balance that out. So we've got his Sigma blaster here. Posing is tricky. I don't know if I picked the right hand for this. Pretty sure that's not the hand I should have used. Give me a quick second here. Will this really just work? Alright, cool. So I used some sort of fancy hand, and I really should have just used some regular closed fist for it. Aha! Now that that holds the weapon. The only downside is with a weapon that big, it's just a rubber or a rubbery plastic kind of ball joint holding the wrist or securing the wrist, and it's kind of hard to get it to hold that gun very well. I mean, granted, it's a hell of a lot of gun, and some of it is also the fact that the joint is right here, so if it gets pushed up at all, then it can't shoot straight. But it's a big, sweet gun with twin rifles and a sword blade. Pretty good. Don't worry, guys. I'll adjust the camera in a sec. We've got our Sigma guard. We've got this little notch here, and there's a tab in the hand, which I'm telling you is the only way it's going to hold it. So there's that, and then this hole around back is where that plugs in, which is a ridiculous backpack. But look at this. He stands. I mean, he's got that big of a backpack, and he stands. That's amazing. At least I find it to be pretty impressive. I've got regular Transformers that you put a fly on the back of them, and they'll just come tumbling down. So yeah, here is LBX Sigma Orbis. Look at all of that. He's still got more or less all the posability he had in the original form. It might have bits and pieces coming out, but you've still got plenty of bend in the knee. Got extra articulation because you've got this little guy you can move around. The arms are just as articulated as ever. Still got a waist or a hip joint, waist swivel, all of that. I just don't want to move him around a whole lot because you can see now the balancing has gotten a little tricky. He is awesome, and I really am happy that I picked this guy up. This is a fantastic... This isn't just a fantastic toy. This is a fantastic piece of like little modern pop art. It's got such great materials and quality. This is definitely a quality toy. You know, this is not... I wouldn't buy this for a child. Not at all. It's fantastic. Love them. Let me show off the stand real quick. We take this one from Perseus, and that goes here. It's a little thing. And then we've got this guy from Lycion, and that goes here. This slot down here at the bottom, there's like a slot, there's two slots in here, are where Perseus' swords will go. Just kind of sit in there. I know this isn't the best angle for all of this. Then we've got these two little bits. You can just take this and this lower thing, slide that in from the side. I want it to slide further, but it won't. You take this guy here, just clips in right behind. Then along front, up top, on top of the little hand box, are these little Jim Jams, where we put the handles from these into. They don't snap in, they just sit in. And then we've got the stand here, which looks nice. And if you want, I suppose, you could put these around front. But I kind of like it the other way. So that's the stand. Let's put him on the stand. Give me a quick second while I do this and make things fall apart. Yeah, I just knocks things off. There we go, and we've got him on his flying stand, and we can maybe give him a cool pose. We'll see if I can do that in 3-4 seconds. Let's get some leg action. This is kind of what I had him doing the other day, just like a flying along kind of a thing. He is a cool friggin' figure. I mean, all three individually, on their own, are very nice, solid, great figures, but the whole thing together is pretty impressive. With the exception of, like, the feet and maybe that head on the jetpack, it all just works together surprisingly well. Feels very cohesive and just works as a whole entire robot, which is amazing. Again, just the nice heft, the weight of this guy is fantastic. The stand is nice. I appreciate a nice little stand that can hold all of the weapons elegantly. There's a shot of him from the side with the whole backpack and everything. I mean, this doesn't look too bad. It's just a nitpick to me that it's obviously just a head hanging out down there. And at least those little feet on his back that I mentioned, you don't see them at all. All this other stuff that's more interesting just kind of takes precedence, takes the attention away, takes the focus away. So there's that. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention that I really should have done at the beginning. I'm not really going to show off the box, just because I have to readjust the camera more than all of us want to deal with. But nice thing, I just love personally that, if you can see it there, the background behind where the three guys were is just a big old hunk of silver, which is cool. It's got a nice shine to it. The one thing I wish was on this box that isn't, is the manufacturers. You see, the LBX models have these logos here, which from what I can tell are the logos for the company, or the company in the anime that make these things. So, though I believe Yamano Handmade, who I just showed off, does make this guy. I have no idea what company this is, but they've got their own little logo here for the other guy I've got. It would have been nice to see that on the Sigma Orbis. It makes it seem a little bit more like a product from another world. And I'm always a sucker for bringing virtual things into reality. I think that's all I've got to say. I've been going on for a while. There's a lot to go over with this guy. But man, I love the designs of this. I like the Danball Senki lines or designs in general. I'm probably going to get some more models of that. The model kits are just regular Bandai model kits. They're nice and affordable. They're small. They're really fun. This actual toy is not going to be cheap, but it's not too bad, and it's totally worth it. I mean, the quality... I mean, there's one or two little paint things that I can see from here that I just know personally are there. But you can't... it's just fantastic. It's a great piece. The individual units are fantastic. The combined mode is great. The stand is nice. Everything just kind of works. And I really, really am happy that I picked this up. Well, that is it for today. This has been the... Danball Senki Little Battlers Experience Sigma Orbis kit, or set. And I have been Lincoln for Talking Japanese Plastic. I will see you guys next time.